Sorry. My apologies.
One line stood out to me that has precipitated my frustration. I mean, right now I'm frustrated that we're not looking at this. I mean,
Yes.
this is apparently 800 pages, 1,000 pages of her. To me, this is a no-brainer. FOIP says the moment you submit a record to the government, whatever government, it is public. It's a record in our custody. So it frustrates me that there appears to be a blanket, FOIP exemption to a document that there shouldn't be one. But my first real piece of frustration was on the initial application. And I say this as a teacher with a clear amount of irony. On the application, under the section for nature of business, it's a family wellness center, a center to support and promote the well-being of families, which, I make the teacher go here because that's like when I ask a student to give me the definition to respond with the words. And so that initial one is my first source of frustration because it left me with so many questions on what that is and what that means. And we're starting to get a clearer picture, I hope, but all throughout this, I keep going, there's been hurdles. I don't know where the hurdles are coming from. Certainly this most recent one with making it public, that I don't feel as opposed by the town. But I compare that initial application to an application that I've got on my screen here for an event center and agritourism venue from Mountain View County. It was prepared in 2018. It's 50-some pages, and it has all sorts of things like traffic considerations, community benefits, sketches of zoning and areas. It has an existing land title certificate submitted. There's regional context, there's traffic flow figures. I mean, there's all of these things across 50 beautiful pages with photographs, clearly designed documents, let's say engineering reports, and all of these things. And the reason I bring this up is one of the applicants listed here is the same applicant I'm reading in this 50-page document that answered literally all of the things that we were looking for, some all of them. And so as a person that loves policy, as a person that loves digging into the land use bylaw and MGA, I look at this gorgeous document that lays out and clearly answers every question I might have about this event center in another municipality of lab. That's clear, it's concise, it's direct. And this is what's, this applicant, or one of these four applicants is capable of. And I look at this definition that we got initially, and then I look at, or I hear, because I haven't seen this, apparently we have 800 pages, 1,000 pages that I can read. So my frustration is just, it's going everywhere. I don't know who to direct it to, but I'm staring at this Mountain View County and going, wow, it's amazing.
Does it, Kyle, does it say if that one was prepared by a professional planner for them, or
I don't know.
maybe that would help? I don't know.
Yeah, I can't tell in here, but I mean, it's not things about like clearing and grading. This is elegant, and this would allow me to make a decision.
Absolutely.
Nothing that I have here, and again, 800 pages, 1,000 pages still have. Nothing right now is allowing me to make a decision, and I'm ticked off. It's ridiculous that we're almost 6 months into this process, so I don't know where my frustrations are at, but I'm frustrated.
Well, myself, I don't like the idea of refusing the application yet. I think we need to keep trying to work with them and see if, what we can find out and make an informed decision.
Well, we have 20 days now, if we can see the information, right?
So how it works is if we issue another incomplete letter, the incomplete letter states May 9th. Materials should be submitted by May 9th. Should they require additional time, they can request it. It doesn't mean you have to give it. That would be a council decision. So once we receive more information, then we have 20 days again to determine if it's complete or incomplete. Once we get to that complete letter, we have 40 days to issue a decision. If the decision is not issued within 40 days, the applicant can sign a letter that essentially says, I give you an extra 40 days. The reality is right now, we're not looking at a 50-page application. We're looking at potentially 1,000 pages. That will take time for administration and council to digest and understand. So
especially for reviewing in public sessions.
And so it may need more than 40 days and you have the right to ask for that. If they choose not to give it, if it's needed, or you guys simply cannot make a decision at 40 days, it is deemed refused. And so it's done. So most applicants would give you additional time. It's usually a very standard practice, whether it can happen that your development officer is away on holidays and the 40 days happens. It can happen that there's a snowstorm at every single council meeting and people can't make it. You need more than 40 days. It is a very standard request.
You know, and I'm just thinking here too, I mean, we've got 2 council meetings a month to review chunks of this. If we need to call special meetings. So are you saying that from a review perspective, that it needs to be done as a group? Generally?
It's generally for council to make a decision and review materials. Generally, you do that as council. Now, I do know you read agenda packages in advance of them.
Yes, yeah.
Or wherever you choose to read them. It doesn't have to be in your house, you can do it at work, whatever. So you could be reviewing that material as well in that manner. It really becomes the time for, in the first 20 days, to be able to issue it to be complete. Administration has to review everything that's in it. Then we have to bring it to you, and you also have to agree that it is complete. Then once you issue completeness, then you have that 40 days to issue a permit or refuse it or have it deemed refused. So there are a couple timelines at play. Again, those timelines are in the MGA. They are not our timelines, and there are ways to get extensions, and extensions are normal. So I would say that if the applicant was submitting something similar to what you've discussed, Kyle, makes your job easier, which usually expedites your review process. But at this point, the first timeline to consider is if you issue an incomplete letter, you have 20 days from the time they resubmit. So if they didn't submit for 5 days, your clock starts at the time they submit. If you don't have the submission by May 9th, which is what's outlined in the letter, and you guys have the ability to change that, then it would be deemed refused. Again, that is written into the Municipal Government Act and written into your land use bylaw. That's not me sitting here saying we're deeming it refused because they missed a May 9th deadline. Those are the rules of development in Alberta.
Can this weekend submission that's so far hasn't made it to the most of council, yeah, does that satisfy incomplete? So how would that
So
process?
we haven't reviewed it, so I can't tell you if it gives the complete information or not. What I can tell you is that the one thing that we did note in the very cursory look at it is that there is a clause that says certain information will be submitted in an in-camera session. The letter that we've drafted says everything must be made publicly available for council to review in a future public council meeting. So if council potentially is willing to look at stuff in camera, and I can't even tell you what that list is. I'm not familiar with what was submitted this weekend enough to be able to clarify, then you could change this letter. If you want it in public, don't change your letter.
I do want it.
Very much.
So given that, I would make a motion as it stands written by use the attached letter and include the 4 points as stated.
All in favor? Motion is carried.
Thank you, everybody.
Drive safe.
Thanks, Liz. Drive safe. Moving on to our operating budget for this year. See ya.
I will.
I know. like that one too, it's just- Check for your- Right. Okay, so if it pleases the chair, did you want me to proceed with the operating budget information?
Yeah, I already called.
Sorry, my bad. I was taking notes on who left and stuff, so it's not the case in this one. Okay, this is the adjusted budget as discussed from the April 4th, 2022 council meeting. Just some comments to council's questions or changes that were also implemented within the budget. So the AMSC insurance was adjusted from $630 to $650. And I believe that was within the council section. And then license permits permits and revenue. Council had a question regarding what this was revenue from, and it's actually from the oversized transport permitting fees. So we through the Travis system and road data, the oversized hauls that come through have to apply for a permit, and then we get a small cash amount from each.
So that done through this, like they get the permitting through.
Well, we have a contract with road data.
Okay.
And so road data, I think we pay like $15 to them for processing the permit. Like they process the permit based on our bylaw.
Okay.
And then the province pays us $25 per permit, give or take.
So do we have any control over the amount? We set the amount, or did they set the amount?
You know what? It's been a little while since I've reviewed it. I'm not sure. My apologies. But I can certainly check into that.
Well, it's not a big number. It's just-
Because I believe maybe even within the bylaw, we can control how much we. The professional fees audit, the second portion of the invoices, or invoice was expected to be coming our way. And then actually parks revenue was a pleasant surprise. The revenue is from the RV stations, so water, sanding dump, and camping. So we experienced quite a bit of an increase in that area. It was a pleasant surprise. And then the adjusted amount for the community center furnace cleaning was increased from 2,000 to 3,382. And one other adjustment, I think, was the purchase of the flowers. We had underestimated about 2,000. And we thought we probably better off looking that up a smidge, so. So the projected increase is 4.81%. The tax rate comparison reflects how the increase will impact various levels of residential and business levels of property. The current percentage is 72% residential and 28% business commercial properties. So the impact's distributed fairly equally, but the actual assessment percentages are 75 and 25. But I just got an interesting piece of information, sadly, or today, was that our education requisition is scheduled to go up from last year's. Well, it's kind of subjective. So last year we had the numbers at 227,000 because we under levied the school requisition the previous year. So, but we were initially predicting that the levy would be around 221. And now they've released their updated amounts and they're going to be $234,391.39. So the education component, if you compare the increase to what it normally is, the increase is about 5.8%. If you compare it to what we actually levied out last year to reconcile the under levy, it's about a 5.6% increase, and that is just on the school portion. So with that being said, I thought I would bring that information forward to council to just have a quick little dialogue if you want me to go back to the drawing board and see if I can sharpen a pencil a smidge.
Well, the school requisition, unfortunately, that's one we've got no control over whatsoever.
Correct, but in the same token, the bottom line, when people get their tax bill, in our initial discussions, it's looking like it's 4.81%. But when you add the increase of what?
It's gonna be
the
5%.
school, it's gonna be high,
What's it gonna be, 5%?
So
5.6%.
combine the three together, it'd be what, about 5.2?
I'm not sure, I have to double check.
So,
Yeah, the average,
Oh.
with 5 something.
it's gonna be 5 something.
That's a lot.
Because the thing
Oh,
is, when
5.2.
you ask people what their taxes are, they never.
They look at the overall.
Yeah, they never break up the two components.
It's not
No.
gonna say this is this.
They're like, the town is only billing me this, the school's getting me. No,
So-
or the province is getting me through the school requisition. Sorry, I have to qualify that.
I'd be a lot more comfortable with, as we started out, we were talking about it just under 4 or around 4. That we went up to over 5. I would be possible.
Okay. So see what we can do to get it under 4.
One that I'm wondering about, is I've got the, budget in front of me, I haven't seen it. We budgeted as if my best friends ever at CN are charging us money this summer. Or is that omitted from the budget? Like I've been looking for it and I forgot to ask it about it last time, but I'm just wondering.
There's another component being the capital
Right.
budget. And so I was anticipating including that because of the cost of it. I mean, you know, if we are having on the hook for it, it's, I think roughly was about 19 or 20,000. And so
Best
I
case.
was looking to bring forward a capital budget, but wanting to also have the confirmed audit figures because the audit figures give us the reserve amounts. And I have a more accurate basis to provide a suggestion or a recommendation for the capital budget.
I was hoping that there would have been a surplus that we could siphon a little off of that.
Yeah, but well, my other question might be the answer to that or might not. When we had the 12/21 presentation, I found it very informative around the, like, now I'm using it's $30,000 kind of cap that we hit the bank.
The true up.
The true up. So I guess my other question, and again, maybe it's in the capital, maybe it's somewhere else, are we anticipating revenue from the true up because they can't hold any more money that could potentially offset something like that?
We typically receive it by now.
Okay,
So I can certainly revisit with them and see.
Robert, I have a
Okay.
Friday
So you can
as
just.
well, and I do believe we are reviewing the audit. So I would assume see
you
the
could bring a
financial
large
statements.
check back with you, that'd be
Novelty
Great
size?
big
Yeah.
size, yep,
as large as possible.
absolutely.
It's
But
like,
we-
hey Stu, we need a photo op on that one. eh?
We are going to have a historical society meeting and we were going to propose the insurance being paid, but that is a small.
It's not
Yeah,
very
that
much, but
was
it's a
around
little bit.
$1,600.
Yeah. But still, it's something.
So typically off the top of my head, some of the pockets we could look at are unfortunately usually beautification. Or like with the fire department, we can request that some of their items be covered through their fundraising account. But So I can certainly look at some of those areas or have another look through and see if there's any other areas that we can kind of carve down a bit more.
It would, you know, a $7,000 increase would be taken down a percent, close to 1%.
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
I think that puts beautification down. I'm teasing, I'm sorry.
You know what?
That's a terrible
If I could defend
suggestion.
the beautification committee, or if I could comment to that.
Yeah,
When you look at the number, it is like, looks like a lot of money, 18,000. But then when you see what it's spent on, we're doing things that the town would normally do anyhow. It's just, it's being pigeonholed into
Yes.
the corner, because we're putting signs up that the town needs to
Yeah.
put up. We're trimming the trees that should be trimmed. It's not,
It's not just planting flowers and trees.
no, it's
Yeah.
not out of the realm of what normally gets done. It's just being done by a different group.
Without a
Money is
doubt.
earmarked from franchise.
It is.
Yeah.
So ultimately, that money is money in, money out. If you, I mean, if you want to look at it in the context of the revenue. So it's-
and with all due respect, I do crack some terrible jokes on that, but the beautification committee is a valuable service and not to be undermined. Because really, how many communities actually have individuals that are willing to commit the time and energy and to do those little extra touches that make, you know, our town noticeable and stand out. So it's certainly continues to be a very important component. And unfortunately, in the past, it has, say, been where the town, unfortunately.
So with something like, so I look at this and the one thing that really stands out to me is recreation facilities. Is, you know, and so would one particular item that comes to mind is putting the ice in the arena a little bit later.
I agree.
Would that save dollars, substantial dollars, like 5,000 or $10,000, like putting it in?
What does it cost monthly to run the arena?
You know, like when the ice
You have
plant
to
is on
guess.
full, I can't even guess, like the utility bills are, you know, usually upwards of 2,300, 3,000. So like putting it in later, like shaving off 2 weeks,
Right.
truly, I don't know what to say.
When
Because
does it normally go in?
I wouldn't be happy to be dealing with the stakeholders on this, and I think maybe some additional engagement with them on how we can offset some of those costs.
I've had conversations.
And
with-
like truly in the past, when we dialogued about it, they were not happy and quite reactive. And so,
Would they be happy with an increase in an hourly rate?
no,
No, really?
no,
Well, I know a number of them would prefer it to go in 2 weeks sooner. So, I mean, I don't think we can,
and then shortening it at the end is not an option either because of like their playoffs and everything. You would,
Yeah, you can.
you would
No, I think
really,
at the end, it's very hard to do that, but at
Yeah.
the beginning, seems to me it's more about, training and
I
well, a
don't-
lot
I
of
just
times
don't know
it's
the
the
issue that I
competitive
choose.
edge or whatever, right?
Yeah,
And
but
so
Thailand's-
other facilities have actually put their ice in later, which has resulted in those participants booking ice time with us.
okay.
So, but I don't know if the volume of those bookings really has been. Staffing it? Yeah, like it's only a couple hours here, a couple hours there, so, you know, when your ice fee is only like $90 an hour, whatever. It's
I-
not,
You know, when I look at this, that's the one thing that really stands out to me.
We had even talked about a policy where, there has to be a certain number of days at a certain temperature. So
Right.
it's a super hot September, forget about September. I see an item
Yeah.
Leasing expenses.
Yeah, you know, just a
Oh,
download from the
leasing.
provincial government.
Oh, leasing. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
totally
Yeah, if we could get
Give
the
us
leasing,
leasing.
really,
They do it all the time.
No, I was just trying to look at things that to me are,
Where we can trim.
The low hanging fruit.
yeah,
$7 grand.
I mean, we're talking $7,000.
Yeah.
So
That would take us below
that would take us down to percent four.
to about 4.
Yeah.
So we don't know how much it would shave off to start 2 weeks later.
The option 2 weeks later or off the fees.
Yeah, that's what
They
I
can't have
think.
their cake and eat it too.
Like, because if you look at our, look at our revenue and expenses, I mean, it's way out of line compared to everything else.
Yeah.
It's huge. And I don't know that taxpayers would be that pleased with that, because yes, I know that there's children that participate, and it's not that we're asking them not at all to be a part of it. But I do believe that we have to look at the costs and either up the fees or start later.
Well, and I know in the past, many of our businesses understood or like valued the arena from the symbiotic relationship that it creates in the community. So inherently, it brings people to the community, they buy a tank of gas, they buy a pop, they, use the washroom or whatever, and, and in the past, eat at the different restaurants.
But they don't do
prior
the
to
first 2
COVID,
weeks, do
but
they?
Not now. as much.
They have to practice before they have the games. They don't do it the first 2 weeks.
No, not just.
So I like user fees. User fees are great because the people that use the service pay for it. But one that we kind of all over, and I've just been fiddling if I'd be happy to bring something forward. What was that sanitary, that dump fee for accessing our lagoon?
There's some potential for additional revenue there. It's just, it's been an interesting, like from an observational standpoint for me. Yeah, I haven't followed the dollars on, what's coming in right now. But I've only had one additional provider sign up for service. So we were expecting at least one more for sure. And I haven't heard from them. So, and then like right now, we bill out that at $3.70 a cubic meter. So what you want to increase it to?
Well, my gut check on that, and again, I only have very rough numbers, is that we are on the low end, which is a good thing for that. I also don't measure trucks, because some of the places say it's per truckload, which is really interesting.
Can't do it like that.
Well, that's what they do, so it's tough to have an apples.
Weigh
to
the truck.
Yeah, it's tough to have the apples to apples comparison, but to me, when I've heard of those stuff, I think it's the station 2 where we've had some issues. And we know that not also contributes, there's users in town that contribute. But to me, if water seems to be one of our heavy hitting items, wastewater, water, all. So to me, that's just an area where we can get more revenue. Something that
So when was the last time that particular item was raised or adjusted?
It hasn't been,
Hasn't been.
since I've started here.
So.
So
It's
it
due.
it has a potential.
that's
I guess
5
I
years.
just caution a little bit just because when we actually, when you go through and look at our BDR and you look at the revenue lines versus the income lines. So with water, it's pretty even. And that's kind of by design. And with sewer, it is not. So we take in substantially more revenue on sewer than what our actual costs were. And I know right now it could be a little bit considered arguable because of some of the additional fees and stuff, but in the past when I've compared them, there's quite a bit of
But if
difference.
you take into account the lagoon reconstruction, that's plain sewer. That's-
Exactly,
And so divide that
exactly.
by
So that's where it's like realistically, whatever
cubes or
is
meters or
more, like it's the greater portion should be invested, but in the same token, we can't afford to tax the residents the additional difference.
Would
right?
dumping fees to the lagoon here, I don't know what the proper term is, but would that generally be our residents taking a load directly to the lagoon? Or would this be from
Yeah.
getting to pay their fair share
Outside
of our
municipalities.
improved.
That's just generally.
We don't allow anyone to dump directly in the lagoon.
But it-
Yeah, just transfer station or whatever it is.
So it's a septic receiving station. It's that little brown building we went on the tour.
For the toilet.
So and they basically lock their hose on and then pump it in through.
Because if you add in the reconstruction costs into that number completely changes.
To me, our residents are putting the bill for non-residents right now.
Something else to
Oh,
look
that's
at when
true,
you
because if you-
sharpen up a little bit.
I bet that are, well, I mean, we get money from the county, don't we?
Specific story,
For their rehab.
we received $30,000 from the arena, or like from Cameron County towards arena operations.
And so if we receive 30,000, then that's 74.9, the rest is user fees.
So the 74.9 is what the town subsidizes the.
Oh, would that be?
No, 74.9 is revenue. The 205 is the expenses.
Yeah, so 749 is a combination of, it more than likely includes the 30,000
That's
from
what,
the county.
which would mean
And
that,
then what the users pay.
right, so the 44,000 is user fee and the county pays 30.
Is there any merit in asking the county for more? Is it good 30 for one time? Because same thing costs have gone.
Well, with that being said, actually, what happened was it was at 20 for the longest time. And I had kind of the same thing with council, and they're like, oh no, we could never ask for more. And then what happened was Cameron County underwent a review because the city was actually asking them for more from a revenue perspective. And so that resulted in our fees also going up based on that review. So it's been in 30,000 for maybe the past 2-3 years. So it's been fairly recent that it went from 20,000 to 30, under 5 years anyway. So, and my memory could be incorrect on that, but so many details.
Well,
But in my line of thinking, it's fairly recent.
Okay, but I think we've given you a couple, 3 possibilities. Is that enough to work? from?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
We're not talking a big amount of money.
Yeah. Yep.
There's some,
Yeah, I agree. We could nickel and dime it on label.
Oh,
So,
Okay,
some percentages of
moving on.
As per our past municipal review, I believe I need a motion from council.
I will happily move the administration to do a thing involving getting that number down to 4%. What that verb is, I don't know.
Neither.
About review budget.
Sharpening of pencil.
I was gonna say smarten up, damn it.
100%. Lower increase, how's that?
That's exactly what I said.
Yes,
Good
absolutely.
That sounds
I heard
very
it.
funny, a lower increase.
Yeah. Reduce. the
I've been
increase.
called an oxymoron before.
Are you sure Oxy was?
Are we all in favor? Carrie,
Oh, man.
I'll call you an ox anytime you need.
I'd be going to the latter.
Bashaw Golf and Country Club financial statements.
Here they are.
They just do that every year because we guarantee it.
Yeah. And that being said, where it has it, like they were generally more or less just passing to you, but they are in a very comfortable financial position, and I believe the comment commentary was they're considering paying off their loan. So, thanks. So, and typically they're included in the package for council review, and the other commentary is they are to keep $25,000 in a GIC minimally, to, you know, just in case for the payment and stuff, and they have done that, so.
Yeah, they're sitting on 248 in cash.
And their term deposit is actually at 55,000.
Yep.
But another ridiculously nitpicky question. So throughout the document, the auditor is not sure if you're a town or a village, so for instance, on page 10 we're a village, but earlier in the document we're a town. I'm just wondering if that has any bearing on anything, or if it's just me twitching when I look at us.
I believe it's just someone using a template where they're being consistent.
Excellent, thank you.
And it has real material impact on the financial statements. And quite often I get invoices that call us a village all the time, so.
I want paper.
Exactly. We're a town, damn it.
If I got a bill for Brian McIntosh, I'm not paying him. Would you pay for Kyle Gus?
Is that another oxymoron?
Might have nothing to do with that.
Sure. Thank goodness I get the introductions right now.
So we need a motion to accept that.
I do that.
Thank you, Cindy. All in favor? Carried. Committee and staff reports. I had no meetings in the last 2 weeks. But I did receive 5 emails from Bear Hills totaling 1,020 pages of documentation that I have not read. It was over the Easter weekend. Tom Clancy book is 1,000 pages, and I don't read one of those in a weekend, and I actually enjoy reading those.
Well, I guess I would caution you at this juncture in time because it may be still considered proprietary.
And I was
information.
also concerned about that.
And I guess the other part is that there was a request for the information to be circulated by email. However, as council makes their decisions publicly and deliberates the content publicly, I guess I'm not prepared to forward the information in the email, and I just don't believe that that's the appropriate.
Not until it's in an agenda package.
Better get new binders.
We'll get you some tablets.
We have budget money for libraries.
Actually, we've got a lot of old ones in the basement.
Donate some cheese.
They're very thrifty around here.
Deputy Mayor Gust.
I wanted to bring my certificate to prove you that I did the Alberta Management, Emergency Management online. So I did not get 100%, but I did get a certificate. That happened on May the 5th. Oh, April the 5th.
Either way, it's still not May yet.
That is all. I was at an adult learning meeting, but that doesn't qualify for council. Capable.
Councillor Northey.
To attend a BART meeting tomorrow. It's been canceled to May 4th. So I still haven't, I was still haven't to be there yet, not once, but so this will be my first meeting on May 4th. We rescheduled the Historical Society meeting as some of our people couldn't make it. So it's also on May 4th in the afternoon, though. Usually after the meeting. Parkland Library's upcoming meeting, and this morning I attended the council meeting opening in Delta for blessing from representatives from Massachusetts. And it was really well. It was nice. It was short, but it was a nice blessing. So before the
Excellent.
that's everything.
Counselor Orem?
I had no meetings, and here I thought I was doing so well because I have registered for the online MEO course and started it. And I was all excited that I had done that until Brian showed up and
You aced it already.
staged me.
Now.
Now I'm feeling the pressure.
Baby steps, baby steps.
Right? Yeah. It's a very busy time right now. So yes, I have registered and started the MEO online course.
Close to the most exciting 3 hours you've ever seen.
Oh, my
Five
goodness.
grades.
Buckle up.
Set the bar high.
So. Keep that going like this. This is
Counselor McIntosh?
I completed an extensive survey from Dr. Shauna Wilton at the U of Staff campus, which basically is about elected officials and why they ran their age, all these demographics. They don't outright say it, but as a gist, my hunch from the questions is it seems like they're kind of studying motivations for women to run, which really interesting that I engage in. You all have invitations as well to complete the survey. It was sent to us on April 11th, and I completed this on April 12th. But it's really interesting because a lot of their questions were, you know, for instance, if a visible minority ran, what advice would you give them? You know, if a woman ran, what advice would you give them? And my response to all of those, just for the record, is learn land use and planning. So about 90% of the job, as it turns out, which is the very sexy part of that job, that no one seems to advertise in the campaign platform. So that was really, it is, yeah. I also received correspondence from a resident on April 8th, and respond by looping in Mayor McDonald on response. And there's just about timelines under the MGA with respect to the development permit application. So I was able to direct the resident to the appropriate resources, which included directing to the scales. Also, responded. So just completed a survey and responded to an email. That's all I do.
Keep up the good work. Foreman Taylor?
I just completed the director of emergency management. So that's out of the way. Pest control is, that pest control program is now started, and mind you, like snow outside, it's
Be a day or two before they're galloping around again.
yeah. The ball diamond and RV park is grooming and stuff has started there. Summer schedule, I guess. Say that. Not just, you know, basic lawn maintenance and cleanup, get ready for spring. So where we're at right now.
What is this rate?
Well, we got a
Living
glimpse of it. I
Alberta.
think I started my motorcycle yesterday and this happened.
So you caused it.
I think so.
Like, I don't see snow removal as a priority right now.
Well, I just like, you know, it was funny. I was coming in, I'm like, man, all I got is a bobcat right now because I leads up everything. I'll have to
Should
get the
melt.
loader and some
Well,
shovels.
Mother Nature put it there, Mother Nature can take it away.
Yeah, that's right. So that's me.
And CAO Fuller?
Not a ton, basically, The outstanding from other meetings, family and community support services, generating the checks and stuff, so we got some money from the ICIP program, so we're able to pay more bills. And the arena access for homeschooling revision, just still on the docket to complete. The flush truck, I'm working on a meeting date. And the Canadian National Railway crossing maintenance, we have a date scheduled for May 3rd. And environmental 360 waste removal contract, received the proposal, just kind of diving through the bylaw a bit. It's a bit outdated and kind of, it's a challenging one because like the proposal that we're talking about is maybe like focusing on having rollout bans and having more of a definition between commercial and residential properties, which could be a different fee schedule, and obliging businesses to make sure they contain their cardboard and stuff and have rollout ban versus how it's currently done. So that's kind of, and it's just one of those things where you never find a perfect fit. So I'm not sure if evolving the current bylaw is going to work or what.
Can I just ask a quick question on that?
Sure.
When you talk about rollout bins, you're talking like town-owned bins that,
They would be like through the contractor. It would in essence obligate the business to obtain one of the bids from the contractor and have maybe a different frequency for the pickup specific to that. We just have several businesses around town that have large volumes of cardboard that right now that cardboard takes a long time for staff to get you to the truck, right? So we're having, and I'm not sure like if it's a smaller rollout bin or like, but that's been referenced in the proposal information.
but it wouldn't be something we're paying for.
No, but it's, you want to kind of marry the two a little bit. So I guess the discussion point could be, do we obligate them to access our contractor and we bill it to them? Or do they have their own? Like, because right now we have a sliding structure going on where some of the businesses can access their own bin versus getting the service through town. Whereas residents have to have the service because it's too prohibitive for the contractor to go, oh, this one, pick up this one, don't pick up this one, pick up this one, don't pick up this one, because nobody has their addresses from the alley side. And basically, if you're on water, you're obligated for the service, whether your property is vacant or not. And that's kind of a standard thing in most municipalities for garbage removal.
So for commercial, would you be giving them the option of opting out and getting their own service?
They currently have the option for garbage specific.
Right.
But they utilize the town service for the recycling
Right.
because it's reasonably priced.
Right.
So, and I haven't reviewed it in great detail, but it seems like the commercial properties are paying a similar price structure to what a resident would, which is, for the contractor, not entirely fair. And then the other part about it is potentially a fee, like a fuel surcharge, right? That is, if fuel inflates, then they can bill us additional for it. So, and that's kind of tricky to build into because the fee structure's complete, just straight up cost recovery. We don't make money on what we bill over garbage, right? So, yeah, and then, yeah, so it's kind of clunky to find the fit.
Yep.
And then I still have to bring the municipal development plan, the municipal collaboration framework and the strategic plan to council to review.
Done a lot.
I know. Yeah, just in case you have any trouble sleeping, maybe I should provide copies in advance. Emergency preparedness, we're working on upgrading or updating documents. And then activities and meetings, basically I was out of the office from the 7th to the 12th. The 15th was the Good Friday stat and the 18th was the Monday stat. So we're just pick it up where we left off. And we continue to have a public works staff absent, and Foreman Taylor attended the Director of Emergency Management training. And they are clearing park spaces and preparing the equipment for spring. That was before the snow fell away. And administratively, just generated a council agenda and ongoing communications, walk-in and telephone inquiries. And I do have another development permit for a shed, so it's be interesting. Woo, exciting.
Where are we at with the public utility lot?
I actually just got the information to generate the bylaw. And so the bylaw is anticipated to be on our next council meeting.
Your worship, I move that we accept the staff reports for this information.
Oh, excellent idea. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to correspondence.
Your worship, as we enter section 9.1, pursuant to section 170 of the Municipal Government Act, I'm obliged to declare a pecuniary interest. I request that the pecuniary interest be reported in the minutes. I will now leave the meeting until such time that discussion ceases on.
Is the school asking for a donation?
It has financial implications on my employer that generate several thousand dollars. So
Okay.
the financial implications of Section 170.
Are we dealing with this tonight or just adding it to the
I
next
think we have to donate.
agenda? They probably like it.
May
In the
19th.
past, I think it was just an approval for the event to occur.
All they're asking for is.
And then some like within the road closure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That doesn't need to be a council because you have the authority to do that, right? Or do we need a motion?
So this entails some public works input, so they're.
I haven't reviewed.
It's just like I say, some road closures based on the last.
They've done it before.
Yeah.
And it went well, I think.
Really
Well, yeah. So,
I can double check what we did last year for like specific to the event, whether there was any motions or. So,
We got
or
over
if we
1,000
just
kids last year.
basically-
That's
So
it's like a bird.
I'm not sure.
We need.
Let's put it in a motion.
let's put it in motion. We don't even-
All in favor? Done.
I'll be back.
So this would just be putting up barricades.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just while the kids are running.
They usually also like work collaboratively, like we have lots of volunteers. so
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
We basically end up putting up the barricades and then.
Yeah, amen.
We do have extra recycle bins and stuff too from the school, if you know anybody's.
Recycling garbage.
They're green, I think there's a couple of green, but use them for whatever, I guess. I guess I should have mentioned that we did put new
I've
recycle bins
noticed.
throughout town.
I've noticed they look really good.
Yeah.
Great.
They look
Yeah.
good. I couldn't figure out what it was.
Clive, we got time to RSVP them. I think I might be okay. Don't have a dot on the 18th yet. Mirror on May 21st. I'm gonna bet that I won't be able to make that.
My Saturdays through May and June are totally booked.
Yeah, the 21st is Saturday.
Deputy.
Maybe you could actually. book that tomorrow.
Wave, the Queen's wave for people.
I will try, I'm not gonna promise. I can make it work. make it work.
For the 21st.
The 21st.
I think we gotta get extra ones printed.
I have a sticker from last time.
Okay,
I think I'll look.
With magnets.
we have magnets.
So you
Ah,
have
depends.
you have a town magnet thing, that logo.
I think so, yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can get the car ready for that day.
Fancy, fancy. Part of me's like, oh, do you wanna put one of those magnets on?
Oh, that-
Good
I don't know that
wax.
I would. Wear a t-shirt, get your t-shirt made. I run this town.
With a gust bust.
I can put that on.
We gotta find a flat rate first.
In a beautification week.
It's kind of tough when we're trying to cut back, though.
Do we miss you?
I was not.
There's one tomorrow morning at 9:30. Or
What's tomorrow?
beautification.
I'm the counselor representative, and I was not
Sorry,
notified.
my bad. I will blame you.
We have
Giving
any
a
of
quick
that,
girl.
Get there.
I'm getting cold and I don't like it.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, and then I call.
I feel like the deputy mayor could have told you that.
Yes,
Or the
You think
CEO.
so?
Blame Brian, blame Brian.
Just in case I might forget, I had it in it 3 times.
It's been changed so many times, just like the historical.
So to wrap up, Fox Creek, utilities are high.
Well, they are.
Yeah,
Really?
I believe them.
Yeah.
And Safety Codes Council,
I'm excited about that one. I was
Which one?
at the internal review. So thank you for that thorough and comprehensive review. Toot, toot.
good job. Closed meeting, we do not have one tonight. Oh, yeah. Motion to, thank you, Cindy. Motion to accept the correspondence. All in favor? Carried. Next meeting, April 26th.
That originally was an alternate date in the event that the auditor wasn't. Didn't have her
Oh,
statements
right.
ready. So.
They did and we did and we're done.
I don't think it's required. Unless you guys want.
No.
So
Well, we could do the revised budget, you know, if you're really missing out on, and we could do maybe the strategic plan if you're really that sad.
it's kind of a bad time of year to stack up extra meetings.
Yeah.
May 2nd would be our next meeting.
I have made, is it May
May
3rd?
2nd is.
Second is council, third is CM.
Oh, yes, you're right. Sorry, my
So
bad.
we're doing back to back in second and third.
We couldn't.
Do you know what? I can't make the May 3rd meeting. I thought it was my mistake. I put it on the wrong date and I had a meeting that I'm attending in Kelowna. So, but I didn't think it was too terrible if I didn't come. So.
May 3rd. What time is that?
6
It says
6
here
PM
6
for the CM?
Yeah,
I'll attend that one, I think.
please do.
Been a while since I corresponded with them.
So, and then May 2nd and 16th for the regular council.
we have an estimated idea when the engagement with the elders from the four nations or chiefs from the four nations? Give it a rough idea, is that still part of it?
When last I talked with Chief Leonard standing on the road, he was going to talk to the Maskwaciif Chiefs Tribal Council and get back to me. I haven't heard back from him yet, so I'll touch base with him here in the next day or two.
And I know we're still kind of challenged as to who the third party would be as well. And like I do have some consultant contacts and I just follow up with them. I just had some initial dialogue and there's interest in assisting us. But again, it's a consultant, so like if you get touched.
Is the worry there following protocol, is that what the concern is?
Yeah.
So I suspect that with some of our backgrounds at this table.
So I was gonna actually say that should we need third party reviews?
I think for the first meeting, we don't. I think what Chief Leonard has in mind is the five of us and the five of them, just to sit around and just have a dialogue, just a conversation, not an agenda, just for the first one,
Get acquainted.
get acquainted. And just start building a relationship.
Great.
If you're our neighbors anyway, we should.
Well, I was just thinking of between my job, yeah, services that. we provide, I feel like we both invited others to follow protocol.
Yeah. Even today, all they did was, the only protocol today was offering the tobacco and sugar. I can't remember, it was a package of something anyway.
I mean, I've done cloth, I've done tobacco
Yeah.
already, that's.
Yeah.
I've prevented school,
Yeah.
offer protocols. So I don't see an issue for-
Okay. Item number 12. Everybody's favorites.
I don't see it.
Well, I'll make that motion.
All in favor? Yeah, we're out of here.
Thank you for everyone for attending.
Yes. Thanks, Loretta.
Yeah.